Design Salvation, episode 81.
This is Design Salvation, your lifeline to better design with Dixie and Annie. Our mission is to share our conversation with you so we can all elevate our work and lifestyle. Welcome to the fold.
Hey, y'all, it's Dixie Stark.
And Annie Lundquist.
We're Design Salvation in 2021.
Thank goodness.
I know.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, sweetie. It was a great holiday, I must say.
Yeah.
Even with all the things going on, we loved every minute of it.
Likewise.
Good.
We did too. We were definitely low key, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think everyone felt there was some specialness to it.
Yeah,
Whatever
and I
you
think
could squeeze out of it.
Anything you could squeeze. And I just feel like, despite all the things that a lot of people endured, a lot of bad things, and despite all of that, I think for the most part, everybody was really clinging to the blessings.
I think so.
And we're grateful. And, it may not have been everything that you dreamt of at the beginning of 2020, but we're now in 2021.
Too many surprises.
Yeah.
And I don't know, well, you don't do a word a year, do
you know what?
We went through this last year.
What was my word last year? I don't even know. Oh, my gosh. Do you have a word this year?
I do have a word this year.
Oh.
It sounds a little haughty, and I don't mean it to.
Oh, okay.
My word this year is endow.
Okay, do explain.
Well, I feel like we're all endowed with so many blessings, and it makes sense to take stock of them on a daily basis. And then I also feel like this is a year to endow through giving or through entertaining or through service. I don't know. The word really resonated with me. Like, I feel so blessed, and I didn't want to say blessed because it's more like my family endows me with so many wonderful things and support, and my healthcare workers and all of it, and I don't know. I want it to work both ways.
Interesting.
That's my word.
I don't have a word. I love that word, though. I think the first thing when you said you don't have a word, I have a word, persevere. That's the way I kind of feel. I'm like, you know what? We're going to get through this. And it's a little tough patch. And we're not the first generation to have ever had a tough patch.
That's for sure.
And I'm just thinking we're going to persevere and we're going to get through this as human beings and as Americans and as friends and family. And we're going to do this. We're going to persevere. This. So there you go. I just found a word.
Well, and we're starting our year with a little bit of a cleanse.
Yeah,
as we should.
The liver
purifier.
The liver purifier. But it's so good. If you like beets, this is yum.
This is a good one if you like beets. This one's very easy.
And this is non-alcoholic. This is the real deal. This is a real liver purifier, not toxicator.
Is there an alcoholic purifier?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Not for the liver. No. But it tastes really good.
So we've been sort of teasing that we're going to start the year off right for all of us in terms of our homes and our just feeling organized and on top of things as best we can because we love a fresh start.
It's a good time to do that. Yeah, of course.
And I was reading my newspaper, as you know I do, and I saw that there was an article that said, my 2021 to-do list, how to stop dawdling on home fixes.
What's this in?
Wall Street Journal.
Oh, okay.
So I got all excited, and I'm skimming through the captions, and she has them broken down into 5 categories. There's the easy-to-ignore projects.
Of course. Yeah. We all have those.
There's the is it worth it upgrades. Yes.
Because we all have to weigh the pros and cons.
You have to weigh the pros and cons.
Okay.
There are the logistical nightmares.
Yes.
And then there's
a lot of the time
the can of worms projects, which
they're all cans of worms.
I think they all are. Yeah, that. And then the final one was the sentimental blocks, which I don't have a big hard thing on that. But
I don't either.
None of that. I'm throwing that article away. None of that really worked for me. I was like, no, that's not going to get me organized.
That's great. No, but you know what that is? That's just validation. It's
we're all in the same
We're all
soup.
in the same boat. Oh my gosh.
So fortunately, I have a dear friend, Diane, who sent me a book a few months ago.
Diane. Yay, Diane. Shout out.
Yes. And she lives in Dallas now and San Diego. Mm-hmm. And she sent me this book called This Is Home by Natalie Walton. And it's The Art of Simple Living. And I think it speaks much more to what we need.
Agreed.
Okay.
Very much agreed. Yeah. So we're going to dissect it.
We're going to dissect it a little bit. And Dixie and I have been really hashing through this to try and get it as cut and dry as possible. So you just can't lose if you stick to the program.
That's right.
That she lays out in more eloquent terms than we are going to.
Yeah, we're going to be a little straightforward. And we're going to cut to the chase because we can kind of like condense it a little bit so that it's manageable.
I think we really, really can. And so we're going to do this in a 3-part series, and we're going to give you a week off in between too.
Yeah, that's the easiest. I think that's the easiest thing to do it. So we'll dissect it into these 3 parts, and then we'll do today, and then we'll go to something else, and then we'll come back and do the next 2 again with a week in between.
So the first section is on create. The 3 sections are create, live, and nurture. And today we're going to focus on create.
Create.
Yeah. So just to backtrack just a tiny bit. So she has...
we put it in reverse.
Yeah, she has 10 areas in which she thinks if you do these 10 things, you can make a home. And it doesn't really matter the order.
Okay.
And I'm going to read them off, I think.
Yeah, I think you should.
I'll read them all.
That's perfect.
Because you'll some of them will resonate.
They will.
But then we're going to do some clarification. Okay, so number 1, develop a sense of style. Number 2, focus on story. Number 3, manage priorities. Number 4, elevate function. Number 5, create true beauty. Number 6, appeal to the senses. Number 7, connect to the surrounding spaces. Number 8, stay focused. Number 9, be adaptable. And 10, nurture yourself. So those are all great things, but it's too much for my little head.
Yeah. And some of it crosses over quite a bit.
It does, which she does acknowledge. So I think when Dixie and I were talking through this list, we kind of thought there are 3 things
that really stood out.
That stood out and also encompass all the other things that flow naturally into those. So number 1 is to focus on your story. And so what is the story of your home? It comes from your values. What resonates the most strongly with you? Is it your soft place to fall? Is there an informality about it? You want to make family connections there? Or is it more artsy and innovative and dynamic? Or is it just a serene place you want to hibernate? Or what atmosphere do you want? And what values drive that atmosphere that are really, really important too?
I think finding your story and focusing on it is so key to what we're going to talk about here coming up. But, it doesn't necessarily mean the story itself, but it's a feeling, and it is a way with which you want to elevate and live your best life. So, the story actually comes out after you've kind of determined what those goals and what those principles and values are that are important to you. And it's sometimes, we're building a house or whatever, and I'll tell a client, I'll say, you know what, we're not quite there yet, but this house is going to tell us what it wants. And so if you start out with the core principles and values that are really driving you, eventually it'll kind of reverse on you a little bit, and it'll start to tell you the story. And then you'll be like, yeah. And there's the validation there. And then you're on the right path.
Clarity does come. And I think when we were building our house, it was really important for me to think about family because we have so much of it here. And it drove a lot of the decisions and kept us really focused on scale and proportion. And some of those really basic things that you can tend to compromise on because people keep saying, well, you need a bigger mudroom or you need a bigger this. And it's like, well, I really want a bigger kitchen than a bigger mudroom. So because I know how many people are going to be in my kitchen, they're not going to be in my mudroom.
They're not going to be in your mudroom.
Yeah.
Right.
So those are the kinds of things I think that can give you clarity.
And I think that those are the things that will eventually tell the story, because like if you are in your home, you do recognize that the bedroom is this passage, but that you're right. Everybody hangs out in this big kitchen. And this is where everybody is. And this is where, you work and you commune together. And
but some people really want order.
And that's more important to them.
They need a bigger mudroom.
That's right.
So this is where you need to figure out what your values are and how you want to live. And I don't think this is that difficult, honestly. Just have to sit kind of peacefully and really parse it out.
You do. You have to kind of like come to a place. And if that means that you need a notebook and you need to start hashing out, those things by writing them down, or if it means a picture book, or if it means Pinterest, or whatever it means. But it's more about, prioritizing what you really, really want to elevate your living to be.
I would say I wouldn't go to Pinterest first. I would be a blank piece of paper.
Oh, that's always best.
Just sketch out values and then start to tie them to specific home principles. Point. So one of the quotes in here that Natalie says is, when we focus on what we value, we create our best spaces. So keep focusing on what you value. Really, really drill down into that. And then I think these other things will flow. So for example, if you focus on your story, you'll inevitably develop a sense of style, which is one of those 10
Absolutely.
things. You'll definitely appeal to the senses. You'll definitely connect to the surrounding spaces. Yeah. And if you manage your priorities, you'll stay focused and you will inevitably nurture yourself.
Exactly.
And then if you are adaptable, which is our other key, one of the 3 things, which to me means patient, you will create true beauty. So I think that's sort of the framework for this most important chapter of creating and how to make a home.
So just to summarize that, because you lost me for a minute.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so we've got focus on the story. The next one is what? Managing priorities.
Yes. And the third one is be adaptable.
And the third one is being adaptable. So, managing the priorities. I want to put it in reverse again. One of the things that I always like to do when I'm working with clients, or even if I'm actually working on my own project, is I want the accountability there, whether it's for some other trade person or simply just myself to get the work done, or to get the follow-up done, or to do the research, or whatever it may be. The accountability part's really important. So managing those priorities, whatever they are, a touch base weekly is a good idea. Don't start this project at the beginning of the month and then go, oh, I need to hop back on that. And it's been 2 weeks. You lose your momentum. Your focus is not there. And I think that there's no way you're really truly going to seek your best end result if you don't kind of stay on it.
No, I agree. And momentum is a confidence game. And I think that if you stay confident because you've got your workbook and it's really complete and it is like your baby, like carry this around for weeks and months and a year, and everything goes in it. Your story's in there. Your priorities are in there.
So just get a book. Yep. Just get your blank book and start there with that blank first piece of paper.
Then I think you will, throughout, even in one day, you could lose momentum, but you go back to that little list. So Lulu and I sat down right after Christmas with the intent to tackle this. And we went through each room and made a massive, I'm telling you.
It's brave.
We made a massive list of every single thing that needed to be done in every single room. And we were overwhelmed, but we did it. And then the next part was to prioritize, which was very, very hard. Because obviously, you get concerned about money, and then you get concerned about whatever.
Time and, your calendar.
Who's going to do that project?
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
But we just pushed through it, and we found that if we prioritized each room in a big, long, like master bedroom was the priority number 1, the powder room was priority number 2. Then when we broke it down into this week, this is what we're going to do. We took one thing from each of those high priority rooms, and there is crossover, but it did help us whittle down to manageable chunks.
And that's important too, because you can get completely overwhelmed. I mean, whatever it takes, whether it's an outline, you did a bullet point list. It's almost like a bullet journal. I know a lot of you probably know about the bullet journals and how helpful they are. Or, if it's a flow chart or whatever it may be. But that's a good way to tackle it.
Well, and the other thing that happened was, for example, the powder room was a high priority because we had 2 leaks day after Christmas. And so the plumber's coming, but I can add now some other plumbing tasks to it because I have them all in here. I know what they are. So that's where we're going to be a little adaptable and take things from maybe not as high priority, but save us the expense of the plumber visit.
Yes.
So
you're, again, you're managing the priorities, and you're also being adaptable. And the adaptability is what's going to allow you to, move forward with, the different facets and kind of check them off. Because what you don't want to do is, if you have a plumber out for the, powder room, for instance, you don't want to have them come back 2 weeks later to work on the flower room or, you want to make sure that writing all of this down and looking at it from that perspective helps you in managing your subs and, the different categories that you're going to have to tackle. And I'm even
writing because I know we all are getting more and more forgetful, particularly me. I'm checking it off. I'm saying the date that I emailed them, the phone number that I contacted, everything, because I don't want to have to go back, feel stupid, wonder if I called them.
Yeah, wonder if you did it or what. And that's how I manage a lot of my projects. Back when I had, assistants in the office and I had lots of help and the whole thing, they would manage all the notes and they would go out to the job site and they would, take all the notes at the job site and then would come back and type them up. But now that they don't, I have a notebook specifically for each project because I'm now not in a place to come back and,
type all
the notes
you don't
up
have time for that.
And issue all that. And I'm on certain teams where, there's another office or another team member that's actually doing that. But I have my notebook and I do the same thing. I use a different colored pen or a pencil and I note the action items and when I did them. And I think that, again, that goes back to managing these priorities, being adaptable. I can't say that word today. Adaptable, and stay in the course. And so that notebook is the Bible.
It's the Bible, and I think too, it's going. Again, I'm going to stick to that thing. It's going to be the confidence that keeps your momentum moving forward. And I know we all start with a list every year. This is nothing new.
Here we go. Yep.
But I always love a new breakdown in how to perceive these difficult things that seems to suit. There's a certain simplicity to it, other than, the can of worms theory and all of that just is, gives me too many reasons for excuses.
Exactly.
It's already an excuse.
I've already got too many excuses.
Yeah, the logistical nightmare category. I mean, I could put everything in the logistical nightmare category.
Seriously.
That's not going to help me.
So going back to being adaptable, I think that sometimes we do have, our story and our priorities and all those kinds of things. And sometimes they don't always work out. Like, especially if you're doing a remodel or something of the sort, you might have to be nimble and turn the corner and something else takes a priority because you found something that was a situation or something that was a little more time sensitive or critical. But can you think of a way that, or an example that maybe, I don't know, you're thinking you're going to have to be adaptable on your own project?
Oh, it's a constant thing for us because either, you have the money and then, the powder room leaks and you don't have the money, or the roof leaks. It's always water issues for us.
Why is that? I don't know.
Or, it's just a big bill, a big health bill.
Right.
This
something always.
Yeah. So for me, adaptability sometimes okay, that big chunk was a priority, doing that big thing in the master bedroom was going to be the thing, but let's pick something small in there that'll make a difference. And I think patience is
so important.
It's just really, really key. And it doesn't mean you stop. Sometimes I get too patient and I do stop. And this is where I just keep talking about momentum. And somebody, maybe you have a girlfriend that helps you stay accountable.
It's so important.
Dixie is on me, not enough.
I don't want to be on you all the time.
And Lulu is on me all the time. She is our house manager. We've sort of created a monster, but she's really good.
She is really good.
And when she leaves, she's going to continue. She's going to have a copy of this list.
And she's going to be the accountability team.
Well, and she's back here in June. And if I don't have some of it done,
you're going to be on the hot seat. You're going to totally be on the hot seat.
No, but I do think you have to be pretty sweet to yourself. Well, I think because we're talking money.
And I think that we have to be a little. I think she mentions it at the very, very bottom where she says nurture yourself in her list. And what she means by that is that nothing is going to be perfect. Nothing's going to go exactly according to plan. But the most success are basically the situations where you're the most prepared. Yeah. And so the whole idea is if you get a story, your style comes together, it's easier to stay the course. It's easier to keep the momentum. It's easier to make your priorities. And once you make that first, really wholehearted leap to do it, I feel like the rest of it is easier and it starts to fall into place. It's almost like when you jump into a pool and, you start to get your feet wet and then you start to get your rhythm and swimming.
Or you lose your breath and then you swim a little longer.
And you're like, okay, I've got this. I've got this. I can do this. So we're just encouraging you to do that in the new year.
We are. And one other thing, I don't know if we said this, but when you find that focus and you find your story and you distill it down, all the limitless decisions actually fall away.
They do.
And
they narrow.
And you will have clarity.
You will have clarity. It will come to you. And it seems very overwhelming right now, but just take it in a chunk. Start with this create portion and focus on the story, manage your priorities, and be adaptable. It will happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. We're so excited. Okay, so in the future here, this is the way this is going to outline coming up, okay, Annykins?
Okay.
We're doing this today out of Natalie's book, and then next week, we are going to do the interview with Keith Miller.
He's a local designer, but he's worked in New York and all over, and he's from the South.
He's from Kentucky.
Very dapper, very articulate.
Yes.
And I think you'll really enjoy the interview.
It's great because Keith's style is completely different from either one of our styles. He uses a lot of color and he has a lot of really interesting juxtaposing compositions. And he does, without giving the interview away, he does a really good job of managing the projects to where they're very customized to the client.
They're very unique.
They're very unique in that regard. And I just think his wisdom is so inspiring, but it's also, again, I use this word a lot, validating, because he comes from the same kind of perspective that we all do as designers. He just has his own little twist to it. And I find it so refreshing.
You'll love it. We loved it.
Great.
He was here for our fraternity event last month, and we sat down with him, and it just all flowed. And I think you'll see.
Yeah. So
why we think he's such a guy.
Yeah, that'll be next week. So we're excited to have him, and then we'll
we'll come back to this
and talk about Live.
We'll talk about Live.
Yeah.
So, and if you want to get the book, you may. This is Home by Natalie Walton, and we appreciate that she's giving structure to our month.
We love it. You can go to our show notes page and we'll put it up there, and you can probably find it on IG as well. And we just thank you for listening, starting off the new year with Design Salvation.
I have to get back to my list.
No kidding. Me too.
Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.
Hey, y'all. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also find us at designsalvation.com, where we'll have the past podcasts listed as well as show notes. Hope to see you there.